not quite that simple.
It'll work so well.
We also throw around the word protocol quite a lot.
Perhaps too well.
And within the organization, the reason that we do that is because it's a commitment. It's a commitment to making sure that we're building something that benefits all of humanity. It's something that's open, permissionless, decentralized, accessible to any developer, any operator, any manufacturer to enhance their current business or to build potentially new businesses. And that's not one company. That's a foundation for lots of people to interact with the web. It truly is that anonymous layer, the anonymous human layer for the internet. But even that is a pretty big, pretty detailed statement to make. And if I had said a year ago to a crowd of people, all of you very security-minded, very concerned about privacy, you would have said, it's just not possible. And I think you probably would have been right at the time. It wasn't possible. How we would build something that would scale to 7 million users, much less the billion that we're targeting over the next several years, is just not possible a year ago. And yet when we went and talked to the team of cryptographers at WorldCoin Foundation, they said, that's
what
interesting.
Did they say? Tell us.
It might be possible. And they began to think about it. Remco, Philip, how do we use existing technologies that don't quite scale, that don't quite operate at the level that we want them to work, and build something that becomes part of the protocol? And they started experimenting with something called
like a theater mode
secure multi-party compute. Earlier this year, we talked about the fact that we were beginning to see the path towards using secure multi-party compute to build something that would allow data to be decentralized across several different parties, so there wouldn't be one single entity or even two entities or any individual entity that could see that data. It wouldn't be held by the WorldCoin Foundation. It wouldn't be held by any one company. And as we began going through that experimentation, we began to publish research and began to understand what was possible, we developed something that we're now calling the anonymized multi-party computation. The key attribute that it provides is the ability to take a piece of data, know whether it is unique, but know nothing else about that piece of data on an individual basis. Multi-party is a really important part of this because the data is broken into pieces that can't be brought back together and shared with different parties, and then through a lot of math that Remco will talk about a little bit later today, gives us that key attribute of it being anonymous. Multi-party is a critical part of multi-party computation, as you might expect, right? And it's important that none of the parties that are going to be holding the data that's necessary for the system to work are going to be centralized. Over the last year, we've worked to find parties that we think provide certain key attributes. They have to be trustworthy. They have to be globally distributed. They have to be independent from one another. At this time, we're announcing 3 partners who are already beginning the process of standing up infrastructure and onboarding the data that's necessary. Those are Berkeley Center for Responsible Decentralized Intelligence, based here in California. I'm actually
if you can't beat them, join them. And then destroy them from the inside.
FAU, based in Germany, and Nethermind, a global blockchain and crypto security company that has an incredible amount of respect in that community. In addition to that, we're working with the University of Zurich to finalize terms to begin onboarding them as well. By November of this year, we expect that all of the data that is behind World ID will be held by those parties, broken into pieces in such a way that no one of them is able to tell anything about that data other than answering the question, is this unique? The core to our uniqueness service. Now,
no, you don't need 4
I
companies
build infrastructure for a living, I do
ZK
security
works.
for a living, I do privacy for a living. I could spend, in fact, I'm obligated to spend all day, every day, thinking about those problems. But what's more exciting than thinking about those is thinking about how you can begin using that uniqueness attribute, anonymized and at internet scale, to enable new use cases.
Tell us
How many
about
of you have a driver's license in your pocket?
I do.
How many of you borrowed a passport off of one of your friends earlier today?
Not I.
Thank you, Ajay. I promise I'll give it back. I can't actually use anything about it. We'll go into the details of that in just a minute. One of the important attributes to understanding whether or not a government credential is real is whether it's the one instance of that government credential. Uniqueness at scale is one of the challenges in being able to use credentials issued by government authorities in any meaningful way on the internet. There are other challenges as well. That driver's license, how many of you have tried to buy beer with your driver's license recently? I know you don't all look as young as I look. Did the person that was selling you the beer say, 155 pounds? Yeah, maybe you don't need this beer. Did they say, oh, I know somebody that lives on your block? Because you've got your address on your driver's license. Currently, the way that we use credentials on the internet is we disclose all of the information that those credentials use in order to answer one simple question. Are you over 18, and should you have access to this content? Or, if you're trying to participate in some process provided by your government, are you a citizen of your government? You don't need to answer anything more than that. In fact, there are reasons why anonymity is critical for those kinds of interactions.
I guess we'll have to check my world ID to verify that, won't we?
Uniqueness gives us the ability to determine that the document is real. Anonymity gives you the willingness to actually use the information contained in that document. So, today, we're beginning a beta of World ID credentials. And there's two characteristics that I think are critically important here that I want to point out. This is only possible because of the scale and anonymity that AMPC provides. So we think we're unique in the ability to make this possible, but of course it's going into the protocol, so anybody can take advantage of it, anybody can use it, and we would encourage anybody and everybody to do that. The second attribute, because we are so committed to privacy, that passport information is only ever going to be on your phone. We're not copying it up into the cloud. We're not making an instance of it and putting it into the back end. You will hold the information about your passport on your device, and AMPC will be used to do a uniqueness check. An incredible way to provide private access and the ability to interact in an anonymous way while providing the ability to verify certain attributes that are critical to access online services. Truly adding to that experience.
Your device.
We're rolling out in a number of countries. Today, United States passports work. Today, passports from a number of other countries are also in development, and we're rolling them out over the next couple of weeks. Now, this isn't just about being able to tell more about yourself and interactions online. It's also about providing access to the network to people who otherwise can't get to it. Now, Rich's team has built a lot of orbs. I'm not going to give away any secret numbers. But it's also the case that there just aren't enough of them out there right now. And there aren't enough users able to get to them as quickly as we would like. And so we think the ability to onboard to the network by using a unique ID and a unique document will allow us to accelerate the growth of the number of people that are on the network. So that's a critical capability as well.
Indeed.
Of course, they won't have used an orb. So we won't really know they're human. We just know that they're a thing that has a passport. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we also check to make sure that the image that's on that passport matches the image of the person that's using their phone. That'll become more important in just a moment.
Very important.
Because I shouldn't be able to enroll with Ajay's passport, right? Uniqueness at a global scale, having anonymity at a global scale is critically important. In addition to beginning to think through how to use existing government credentials, we're also beginning the process of understanding how it is that this World ID can be incorporated into the digital identity infrastructure that's being built in other countries. There are two countries right now where we're the furthest along in those conversations, where we have MOUs and partnerships that have been established, and we're talking with legislators, policymakers, and think tanks in those countries to identify how it is that World ID can be connected to their digital infrastructure and allow the citizens in those countries to have basically better services.
Governmental entity.
I want to thank.
How can we connect
we have
to
a member,
all of your systems?
We care a lot about anonymity and privacy, so I'm not going to point them out. But we do have a member here of the legislature from Taiwan. And I want to thank them for coming here. We're really excited about the opportunity that we've had to work with you so far. And I think it's going to be incredible what it is that we're able to do together.
Oh. Upcoming model updates. Let's see.
I don't know about you, but at least for the last 4 or 5 years, I've spent far too much time in video conferencing.
Okay.
Is that true for anybody else? Maybe a few of you. Is there anybody that's currently video conferencing that's here?
Is there anything we do hope that you leave today? Are they going to give me code or something?
I'm a security person.
That'd be really nice.
The news that I read is different from everybody else's. That's kind of the way of silos these days. One of the things that I've heard about 4 or 5 times over the last year is an instance of a member of a company working in the finance department receiving an urgent call or an urgent text. It says, get on Zoom. This is your CEO or this is your CFO. We need to have a conversation. Okay, unexpected, but doesn't seem scammy because I'm going to get on a Zoom with them and I'm going to interact with them and I'm going to learn what it is that's being asked for.
Yes,
and that member of the finance
risk.
department then having an interaction where they're told we need to transfer money
Verify.
and it's their CEO. They're talking to their CEO. It's their CFO. They're talking to them. It's their voice.
Even Elon Musk was victim to
It's a real
this.
interaction. Now, it probably hasn't
like
happened to any of you. If it has, I want to know more details about it.
The meme.
But it's something that we're concerned about. It's certainly something that we're beginning to think about, and it has started to happen in the real world. World ID is in a unique position for a few reasons. The first is that it's the only system right now that at a global scale is endeavoring to have a trusted interaction where an image of a person is being captured,
That is false.
and then being made available in an anonymous, trustworthy way. That's actually a very, very unique technical attribute of the system.
Claros
The other
has
thing that
been
we
doing
announced
that for years.
earlier this year, originally part of World ID 2.0, currently available, was Face-Off, where we use the image that's contained in that personal custody package captured by the orb and made available and held on the user's device to do a comparison to make sure that the person who's interacting with the device is actually the same as the person who originally signed up. That authentication is really critical for being able to decide where they can interact on the internet. And so, as we were looking at this challenge of deepfakes, we began thinking, is this something that we can help solve? And it turns out we can. We can connect those two things together, combined with the challenge being issued by the person who wants to make sure that the person they're interacting with in a given transaction is actually the same face as what it is that they're seeing online, or what it is that's been presented to them in the past. And so we call that World ID Deepface. We're announcing it today. We're working on a beta of it right now, that's just going to be coming out very shortly.
Hilarious name.
The implementation is, of course, as an SDK. We want to make it possible for anyone to incorporate it directly into their application, make it as seamless as possible, tie into your infrastructure within your enterprise, make it part of your,
tie it into your
Active
enterprise
Directory or whatever
Make it part of
LDAP
your
system
Active
it is that you're
Directory.
using to sort of bring it together and make it as seamless as possible. But in addition to that, we want to make it available so people can begin playing with it and understanding how it works right now. So we're announcing a
Don't
beta.
get me wrong.
And the
I
beta
will
is an
probably be
integration
using
with
that SDK the day
existing
it comes out.
applications, right? You and the devices that you're using right now will be able to work with this beta. We'll be able to confirm that the person you're interacting with is the one that you think you're interacting with in an online conversation. And it will work with all of the applications that currently use.
Oh, good. You're already
Video.
integrated with
So it's
all
not
of the
dedicated to any
unencrypted
one of them.
communication service and one of the
Very
encrypted
excited to
ones,
make that
except it
announcement
wasn't
as
encrypted because of. Wasn't there a thing? I remember some news.
And with that, I'll hand it off to Alex. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Adrian.
Face on X. We'll see.
A lot of new things about AE 3.0. I'm actually particularly excited about AMPC because it was such a big push for the last couple months, and it was really not obvious that we're going to make it work. And the fact that not even 2-3 WorldCoin Foundation is part of their computation, I think is a really big deal. But let's talk more about blockchains. So
Please.
Adrian mentioned that what we are building is an actual protocol, not a company. And that is confusing in a lot of different ways on how you run a company.
Well, first you were
and
building
kind
a
of how we can
nonprofit,
contribute.
and then you were building a company,
But
and now you're
what it
building
also means is that the underlying infrastructure needs to be decentralized. And that is what blockchains allow us to do. But over the last year,
Who's the us?
as we continued scaling, we hit the limits of what Ethereum L2s were able to do. And that was really unfortunate.
No, we
it
didn't.
became very expensive to operate a network. And that's why we announced WorldChain.
L2s are fine.
Because we have a proof of human, we can do things that other blockchains are not able to do. We can give free transactions to real humans, and therefore we can make it much more scalable. And of course, we also have our own infrastructure that we can adapt to our own needs.
Yes, you can adapt your own
WorldChain is
infrastructure
launching today.
to your own needs. Woohoo!
And with that, I will give it to W from the WorldCoin Foundation. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you, Alex. Hello, everybody. WorldCoin Foundation is super impressed Tools for Humanity has been doing with everything, with all the work Tools for Humanity has been doing to grow the project. That work means that today, WorldChain is launching with 15 million human users, one of the biggest blockchains in the world on day one. Everything users and developers need, on-ramps, off-ramps, all the mission-critical integrations are all already there. And it's obviously only going to grow from here. All of this is secured by Ethereum, which we also think is the best possible way and a big deal. And to get ready for the first billion users, 50 million WLD has been committed to WorldCoin Foundation grants program. This is really big opportunity for developers to build with us.
I don't want to say my name.
We have a whole deep dive on WorldChain and what we can build together on the stage with Liam Horn at 12:30. Join us. And now Alex will show you how we can actually use the network. Thank you so much.
All right, so we talked about infrastructure, protocol, and many somewhat complicated sounded things, but we didn't talk a lot about how to actually use it. And I'm actually convinced that over the coming years, many of the apps and services that you use will start using the underlying WorldCoin infrastructure in one way or the other. And you won't even notice it, you won't even know about it. And so very much like the internet, there's going to be many different browsers and they will do all kinds of different things. But that's why we make it even much easier to integrate with WorldCoin. Like it's already possible today, but somewhat painful, takes a lot of time, and we heard that from many apps. And so that's why in Q1, we're releasing WalletKit as an SDK to make that much easier. We're already working closely with important and big partners to make that happen. But of course, in the beginning, last year, we had to build our own client because, of course, there was not anyone else. And that's why we started working on World App. And already today, World App is actually the third largest crypto wallet in the world. But that's, again, just the very beginning. We are aiming for billions of users. And today, we are talking about World App 3.0, which hopefully will make it much more exciting and useful to you. Thank you.
It's not a lot of information.
We've been blown away by the response to World App since we launched it last year. And today, we're going to take it to the next level with World App 3.0. World App 3.0 has been redesigned from the ground up with one goal in mind, to make the WorldCoin network even more useful for your day-to-day life. It starts with World ID, your internet human identity. You can see whether you're verified, and if you're not, you can use the app to find an orb near you to be able to get verified. Now, of course, beyond orb verifications, World App now also supports the new World ID credentials, which means that you can now add things like your passport or your driver's license to your World ID to be able to prove things about yourself in the internet without compromising your anonymity. And lastly, World App will, of course, later this fall, allow you to prove not only that you're a real and unique person, but that you are who you say you are, powered by World ID Deepface.
I see.
Something else we wanted to do with this version of World App was to make it easier to interact with other people on the network. So we're adding a tab where you can look up anyone by their username, or if you want to, connect your phone contacts so it's even easier to find your friends and do things like send them a transfer.
Yeah, send them a transfer.
Lastly, World App has a wallet built right into it. It allows you to use things like WorldCoin, digital dollars, and other crypto assets, and people love it.
They do.
In fact, since we launched it last year, people have already performed more than 150 billion verifications that count for more than $1.5 billion in volume, not even including people claiming WorldCoin. And today, that's going to get even better, because the new version of the wallet is built on WorldChain and is able to process transactions up to 90% faster than before. That means that you will, for the first time, be able to use World App not only to send money to your friends across the world in an instant without any fees,
I was wondering what it used
but
to
also be able to pay at merchants by scanning a QR code, or even in online shops, like powered by Shopify, using your WorldCoin and your wallet balance. Now, my personal favorite new feature of the wallet is the Vault. The Vault allows you to lock away some funds for the future and earn a little bit along the way. I've been testing it for the past few months, and honestly, it's just super fun sometimes to just open the app and see your balance tick up every second without having to do any work.
Very fun.
This is truly what the future should look like.
Humans, monkey brain does
Now,
like to see
as we
number
built
go
all
up.
of these new products and services into World App, it was important
out.
to us not only that they were simple and useful, but also that they didn't compromise on the things that matter for the network. This means being able to use World App fully anonymously, making sure that your important data and wallet keys are only stored on your device, so you have full control over how to use it and who to share it with. And of course, making sure that it's inclusive. Because if you want to build a network that can reach everyone, you need to have an app that works for everyone. This includes things like making sure that it's localized to dozens of languages and supports more than 50 currencies. And yes, even supporting as many phones as possible, some of them up to 10 years old. We're very proud of all of these new features that we're building to World App with the wallet, the ID, and the contacts. And honestly, if we had left it there, this would have already been by far the biggest release of the app. But of course, we didn't stop there. So today, I'm very excited to share with you that we're going to introduce mini apps to World App. Mini apps are third-party applications that you can explore and use right from inside of the app, and they can integrate deeply with your World ID, with your wallet, and with your contacts to provide you a new type of products and services that were not possible before. So let's look at what they look like.
Google Play Store.
Starting today,
Apple
when you open
Store,
World App, you'll be greeted by a new app tab,
IDs and all
where you can
of
see the apps that you have installed, and they're ready to be used just one tap away.
But I
When you want a
suppose they
new
don't
app,
verify
you
my
can simply go to the
deep
App
face,
Store.
do they?
You can explore things by categories, search, or even the top charts. And when you see something that you're interested in, you can tap it to look into the details, knowing that you can trust things like how many people are using it, or that the ratings are real, because all of this is powered by World ID. So let's look at a few examples so that you can get a better sense of the type of things you can do with mini apps. The first one is a polls app. It's super simple. It allows you to create a poll, share it on your social media, and for the first time ever, know that the results are actually real and they aren't being skewed by bots that are trying to go one way or another. Now, it doesn't all have to be serious. It turns out that games are also way better when they're built on top of a human network. It's just much more fun to play against real humans rather than bots that are cheating. My personal favorite is Flappy Orb, and you should check it out. And it is, of course, just as hard as the classic game that this is inspired by. Now, just as mini apps can integrate deeply with World ID to be able to provide unique services, they can also integrate deeply with your contacts and your wallet. So an example of that is WorldChat. WorldChat is a messaging application. It's encrypted. It's built on top of the World Network. That means you can text anyone by their username or with your contacts. And you can, of course, do things like attach a picture or a voice memo on the spot. But because it's connected to your wallet, you can also just attach money right then and there. You can send money right on the spot across the world without any fees, without any pain. And of course, because WorldChat is running inside of World App, you also know whether the person that you're texting with is a verified human. So if they are, you'll see them coming up with a blue bubble. And if they're not, there will be a gray bubble. And so, which is super useful to just know when you need to be more careful in different conversations. Now, these are just a few examples of the endless number of things you could build with these new primitives. And we can't wait to see what developers build with this. If you're curious about how to build a mini app, there will be a full session dedicated to that later today. Now, the last thing I want to say about mini apps is while they're, of course, a way for you to be able to do more things today, we also see them as a foundation for you to be able to delegate some of these tasks to your AI agents in the near future. And we'll have more to share on this next year. So that's World App 3.0. It's a super app for humans built on your identity, finance, and community. It's going to be available today, and we can't wait for all of you to try it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Thiago. World App 3.0, really, really exciting. Mini apps. We'll be really excited to see what you're going to build with that. But to quickly summarize, as I mentioned right in the beginning, today's through line was all about scale. And we talked about a new orb, we talked about WorldID 3.0, we talked about World Chain, and WorldApp 3.0. But another question is, what can this be? Where is it going? What is next?
Yes, tell us.
So just from my perspective, I've never felt more urgency ever in my life. I think
Much the same.
what we do is very, very timely. And so we as a company really run as fast as we can. And I hope we can get these things as fast as we can to as many people as possible. But Sam, you have seen things like that play out much more often. What do you think?
Look, it's always hard to internalize exponential curves. The joke, but I think the thing that is true is they look like horizontal looking backwards and vertical looking forwards. I think the world is in one of these moments as we live through this platform shift and this technological revolution that I think is as big as any we've ever seen before. I'm very excited, super proud of the work the team has done to get to this point, but very excited for what this can be going forward.
Let's see. I wonder if I can I do
I think it can be
CC's in
one of these
Spanish?
important new pieces of,
Yeah, I totally can.
technological
I got you.
infrastructure for the world.
All right, and then lastly, we talked about identity, we talked about finance, somewhat
maybe not.
loosely about community.
Siento.
One of the things we've been thinking about actually for quite a while, and we know it sounds crazy, but it is that WorldCoin as a name just doesn't work anymore. And so, starting today, what has been called WorldCoin will be just called World.
I see. That is apt.
And so that is it with the main talk for today. However, there's side talks happening, I think at 11:45.
Okay.
And then we also have a Q&A with me and Sam to answer many of the questions you might have later on. So
Okay.
thank you all for coming.
Well, maybe
It's a big
we'll
honor to have you
check in
here.
on those,
And we hope to
and
have
I'll
many
see
exciting
if I
updates to
can
share
get,
next year. Thank you.
Something in Aspen you'll figure out.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Why is it? When we want something to be more human, we never mean more logical, consistent, or more intelligent. Even though humans can be all those things, maybe it's because what really makes us human are our individual oddball twists. And revealing those cracks is what allows us to look in and see ourselves in each other and feel part of something bigger called the human race. History might argue this can only get us so far.
Why, it's robots, of course.
But lucky for us,
It's robots and your wonderful new
history
all-in-one
is still being written.
human verifying identity, app store, government, passport, driver's license.
And if we know one thing about human beings,
Cash App, bank,
they are just surprising
let's
and
see, I already
unique.
did App Store. There's probably like 6 other things it is, and it all has
And
wonderful,
unpredictable
wonderful
enough.
UX. And they'll pay you to use it. Surely,
To write a new
there's
history.
nothing else going on.
No one else saw it
Everything
coming.
is fine. And now we get a bunch of pictures of cute little babies because we need to build a world that benefits every human, and we renamed it just to World, which is apt. And we bought a .org domain. I love it. Current expectation, okay. Statements, okay. Are we... Ah, I see, okay. Alright. Disclaimer, I see. Well, welcome to World, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe we'll check out some of the other stuff, just to see... Oh my god. Homie's got the fucking hot techno beats. Thanks, Sammy. Yeah, maybe we will check that out in a little bit later on. I think there's going to be a space that I don't know, I have to check with Austin to see if I can restream it at 1, and then at 6, we're going to try and go through Entropics if I have time to even brush up on the repo with West Coast ML. And then there's also Novelty Search today, so hopefully I'll have time to get to all of that, but possibly see you soon. Remember